So tonight we will be speaking on becoming vegan, and I'm approaching this subject because this is a reality for me. Tonight I'm going to be speaking to I want to call her my go-to chef, Nadene McKay, owner of Veganly Vegetarian, and Nicola Shirley Phillips. She'll tell you more about herself, but she is a grower of organic food. She's an entrepreneur. She's also a chef. And so we want to get all the ins and outs of becoming vegan and eating clean and eating organic and becoming healthy and wealthy and wise. Now, everybody knows, well, all my online guests know, my online friends know, I am a 22-year breast cancer survivor. I've been struggling in and out with my diet, but often, more often than not, I eat healthy, and healthy meaning a balanced meal. But I'm a heavy meat eater. I love meat. I love curd goat. I love stew peas. I love all these various different Jamaican fares. Now, I have had several bouts, several moments of becoming vegan. And so I want to speak to two of the experts this evening on becoming vegan, because the last time I tried it for Lent. Now, I had no meat for 40 days and 40 nights. However, when I was finished, if you stand up still, I eat you. So I want to know what is the best way to become vegan, because I have an interest in a healthy lifestyle. Not only that I have an interest in a healthy lifestyle, I want a flat belly. A flat belly has been eluding me for 57 years. I know Nadine belly flat. I just met Nicola, so I'm not sure. But I'm telling you, I would love to be healthy. I have another girlfriend, Marsha Ann. She is on that road. I see you joining. My dear Marsha Ann, thank you for joining us again. Your girlfriend fell asleep, my darling. Peter Wright, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have a good night. So let me introduce, or should I say, allow Nadine to introduce herself at this time. In the interest of time, since we're running late, I'm going to ask Nadine to just tell us a little bit about herself. Why did she, become vegan? Why did you open a vegan restaurant? Which is, I'm telling you, the food, you do not miss the meat. And me, Sandra Samuels, meat eater, is telling you that. So let us introduce Nadine. Welcome, Nadine, to Boss Lady Live.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, and I'm happy to know that you're enjoying the meals.
Absolutely.
Great. So I'm Nadene McKay, the owner of Vegan and Vegetarian Cafe. Just to clear the air, I recently became a vegan, but I was always a pescatarian, struggling vegan, vegetarian.
And tell us what pescatarian is for those persons who may not know online.
Okay, so a vegan is somebody who excludes all meat and animal products from their diet. And then you have the vegetarians, and the vegetarians are broken down into different groups. So you have the pescatarians, you have the ovo vegetarians, you have the lacto vegetarians, and those are ones who might, like, they participate in dairy, but they don't eat fish, or they participate in a little bit of egg and dairy and some fish. So there is a little bit of some things there. My journey into this lifestyle was just pure. I wasn't trying to do it. I was just traveling, bought a book. I was always on a diet all my life, and I bought a book, and I had a 5 hour flight in the book. I just wanted to read something, and the book was about dieting. I didn't know that the book was written by two vegetarian girls. So when I came off the flight, I just kind of said, after reading everything, and they told you about, what meat does to your body and the stagnation and how long it stays before it digests and what it does and the clogging and, the toxins and, all of that. I just decided to give it a week, which is the week I was going to be away for. At the time I was working for my boss at the time, she was vegetarian. So when I got back to the office, I told her that I had done it for a week. Now, I had no idea what I was doing. So I lived in fast food place buying potatoes drizzled with cheese every day, sausage cheese, which is just as bad as just eating the meat, you know what I mean? And I came back and I did it for a month with the help of her providing me with salads and fruits and, callaloo and just the basic stuff. Wasn't getting into it too big. And after a month, I tried to eat meat. And as soon as it went down as fast as it came back up, I didn't take anything. My boss laughed at me. She was laughing and she said, your body is in rejection mode. Your palate has been cleansed of the blood in the meat. And that is what your body is rejecting. I still did not believe her because, like you, myself, I used to be a meat eater and I used to enjoy it and love it. So, because it happened like for the entire week. I kept feeling sick. It's like my stomach, once I ate the meat, my stomach did this wave and it says, something, I'm not going to stay down. So if you put me down there, I'm coming back up. And that's what I struggled with. And that's how my journey started. Then I had a son. His dad ate meat. I was now on my pescatarian lifestyle. And I would put both foods in his plate. So he would always get some of my vegetarian and some of his dad meat, and he would eat it. By the time he got to about 3.5, 4, I would get a one bite from his meat, and all the vegetarian was finished. And he kept saying, no meat, no meat. Didn't think I wasn't trying to change him. I was just trying to introduce him to it and let him make his own decision. And by the time he got to 6, he was a full vegetarian.
Wow, I had no idea your son was vegetarian as well. That's
He's
amazing.
more than that. He's more than that. He's a vegan now. He's now 10 years old and he's a vegan. And this is what has transpired me into cooking that way. So he's the one who actually forced me, because I was still struggling pescatarian, want to cut meat totally out of my diet. And so I had to end up cooking for him. And I didn't really know much about the vegan lifestyle. So I had to do quite a bit of research because he would ask questions. And that's when I realized, okay, so this is simply it. There's no animal byproduct. There is no dairy. There is nothing in his diet. And what he's not sure, he will ask. So that's how comes my cooking now has become a little bit more rigid, where I have to be making sure, like, I couldn't buy the kind of butter that I would normally eat and not think twice. I had to make sure it was vegan butter or plant-based. I couldn't buy whole milk anymore. I had to make sure it was almond milk, or I started to make it for him because I didn't like the ingredients that was in there. So I would make oats milk, I would make almond milk for him, just stuff to facilitate his lifestyle. So he's now 10, a vegan. COVID came. I saw the rigors and what the ravishes that it did to people's body based on their lifestyle, and this is a passion project for me, and I've always wanted to do it. So I took the plunge, and just decided, what the hell, if I can say that, sorry, and just went ahead.
This is not TV. This is internet TV. You can't say what you have to say.
Okay.
We have a audience.
Right, so it's been 18 years, and I knew how to cook because it's something that I love and I really am passionate about it. So it was just me, trial and error. I did a lot of test kitchen. My friends would give me recipes. I would see stuff on the internet, tweak it to kind of make it more straight vegan for him to enjoy. And I just incorporate the love of cooking, the season, and took out the powdery stuff and the GMO stuff and the non-organic stuff, and just try to make it as enriching and as natural to the earth as possible. And that's basically how I started.
That's it. That's awesome, because believe you me, most times, because I tend to try, especially, being a cancer survivor. Persons always say, you're still eating meat, and that guilt, you're still eating meat, the meat not good for you, Sandra. I have a girlfriend, her name is Arlene Saunders. She is like me with a smoker. You're still smoking, you're still smoking. So, I mean, so sometimes I'm eating and I'm feeling guilty, but it's funny you should say that you have had a taste reflex. Because yesterday, because I'm now trying, because I'm trying a new way. So I'm vegan from Monday to Friday. And then I said, let me try a little meat on Saturday and Sunday. So I will eat, like, I drink a little chicken foot soup, or Sunday I will have I had like a piece of chicken. Honestly, it did not taste the same. To be honest, it did not taste the same. Today I I no, yesterday I went to lunch with my girlfriend and I ordered vegetarian. And I say, it's not that difficult, because before it was finding the food to eat. Now it's now preparing the food at home. So I am going to press on. I'm going to try and reduce, as I'm not going to take Jesus off the cross and say I'm not going to try meat again. But really and truly, I'm really very serious about my health this time, because I said to myself, Sandra, you keep on saying I can't, I can't, I can't. You're in charge of yourself. You're in charge of your body. You're in charge of your mind. Make a decision. Not everything else that I do, and just do what you want to do. You know what is good for you. You know what is good for your temple. Do what you need to do. Now, Nicola, you even took it a step further. You're a chef, you're an entrepreneur, you're a restaurateur, you're a farmer. So give us your journey on on not only becoming vegan, but going organic. You are not vegan. Are you vegan, by the way? Oh, so sorry. Let me unmute you. Hold on, just a moment. Just a moment. What? Unmute yourself.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Good. So
Yes.
I'm actually not
So
vegan.
welcome to Boss Lady Live. It's your first time.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. And that short notice, because you only came on yesterday.
Yes,
So we were
Arlene twisted my
yes.
arm.
Speaking to Arlene, she
Right.
told me that you're an organic farmer. So
Right.
that could have made an
Right.
interesting guest as well.
It's very important because the journey is really it's been a journey. So I had a restaurant for 14 years in Philadelphia, and it was a Jamaican restaurant. And the reason that I actually came home was because of that restaurant. After being in there and having some health challenges, I went to my herbalist there, and he said, if you stay in this place and keep this restaurant going, you're not going to last. So you need to you have healthier food in Jamaica than you can actually cook and prepare in the US, because of the soils that was, even the organic soils that they said is organic. A lot of issues with the food coming out and the food that I was actually getting to prepare. Also, the other thing in the restaurant, what I noticed, I was looking at the kinds of food that we as Jamaicans eat. And a lot of it was leftover, kind of that slave food, not the best cuts of meat, or we don't eat
You're,
vegetables.
just a moment, Nicola. Are you plugged in? Because you got a little hazy a
Can
while
you,
ago.
can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, but your image got a little blurry. Are you plugged in?
Okay. I'm plugged
Are
in.
you plugged in?
I'm plugged in. Can you see
Okay, all
me?
right. Yes, I'm seeing
Okay.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So in
Yes.
the restaurant now, everybody's loving the taste of Jamaican food, but I'm looking at some of the ingredients and some of the things that we're making, and we season well, but some of the stuff is and just trying to get anybody to eat a vegetable is like saying a bad word to them. And so, yeah, it's really challenging. And then the other thing with a lot of the restaurants is a microwave, because once you put anything in the microwave to heat it back up, it's going to kill any nutrients, anything that was in there. So and my conscience just kept bothering me and bothering me. I'm like, you want healthy food, the challenge you have. If you continue to do this restaurant the way it is, it's just something that it's not going to work. So I came back to Jamaica really for health reasons, one of the main reasons, and saying I'm becoming a farmer, I'm going to grow my own food. And that's one of the reasons that I end up being part of starting the organic market is because just trying to find clean, healthy food. Because when I came back home, I thought, man, yeah, man, Jamaica, we're gonna have all of this stuff. And then I was talking to the farmers, and everybody's spraying things. And I'm wondering if people understand about
It's
what
still
they're
a little
doing.
hazy color.
It's
I
still
don't know
what?
why. Hazy. It's like you're hazy.
I'm not sure. I'm not doing anything different at the screen light. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. We're
Right.
seeing you, but it's
So
blurry.
right. So the thing that was happening is talking to a lot of the farmers, and it wasn't they're spraying a lot of chemicals, and I was already know about organic food because I had done a farmers market that was outside our restaurant, and we organized that, and we would grow things. And growing up, my father, we had a farm in Spanish Town, and so I kind of have a little idea about that. So I come back and I'm like, everybody's spraying up the place, and what's going on with this? So I decided I would start my farm, and then I would see if other people would do some similar farming in our community. And then we offered a course called One Cocoa, and then from there we started training up farmers across the island, and then we started a farmers market. So anybody that was growing clean food, we would invite them to come and join us. So we'd have the farmers markets a little bit over 6 years now. We've been doing it, but for me, it's now gotten to be a little bit deeper thing, and especially with this COVID situation, is very important because I think one of the problems is we really lost the connection to earth and the soil and our environment. And I think somehow we think that we are in charge of things or we have dominion over, and not understand the symbiotic relationship that we have with the plants around us. And that's why you say vegan is not just about being a vegan and making the things taste good, but it's actually what is that? What is those products and items that you're eating? What is it doing for you? And so, not understanding that we are made up, like when we look at our bodies, we're made up of all these elements that are actually in nature. And when we eat something that is allow that chlorophyll to happen, and you have the plants, and we're uptaking that, it's like plant medicine. So if we eat a carrot, there is something in that carrot that your body needs, and it's like you plant, like the carrot goes in the ground, that plant, because of how it's designed, it's uptaking certain minerals, and then we consume it in that way, and then our bodies pick from that fiber and all the minerals, and then it does the work it's supposed to do. So a beet is a plant medicine, just as much as you take a tea or some other kind of green thing. It's all those things are there to allow you to assimilate it into your body so it can do its work, so it continually repair itself. So unfortunately, what's been happening with the growing of the food is that once we put chemicals in there, it's like we're poisoning the plant, and the plant is like, or poisoning the soil, and the plant is uptaking those things, and then we're ingesting it, right? And so that's where the cancers and all those things are coming, all those ailments are coming. It's literally not just the meat, but if the animal is eating a grain that has been sprayed or GMO'd, it's now uptaking it into it, and we're eating it, or we're eating a plant and we're uptaking it, and then the body's like, what is this? Because it's now a complex combination of elements that they've concocted, and the body don't even know what it is. So it stores itself in all these fat tissues and all these different places, and then we're having the issues that we're having. And that's why COVID could come along and knock us down, because when you look at the food, there's really no food. I mean, it's really not food. It's not really real things that maybe 40 years ago, when our grandparents were growing things, that they didn't have access to all these chemicals. And so we were getting more nutrition and a more balanced nutrition for us to uptake versus the stuff that we're getting now. All the processed foods, even the vegetables, because you could be a wonderful vegetarian, but if you're eating the vegetables that are sprayed, it's like a chemical soup you've just mixed. So all those chemicals, all those, it's a nice, beautiful, and it may look beautiful, but what it is a chemical soup. You're putting all this chemical. And so it's really been hard now to have these conversations with farmers and people and anybody that's in doing anything with food, to say, listen, it's not just about being vegetarian or just about, or any of those things. It's really about the plant and how those plants are being managed. Who's growing it? Is people growing it with love, or are they just doing it for greed? Or are they just doing it so they can spray all these chemicals and get, their money at the end of the day? Or what are they do
Mm-hmm.
volume, but what are they doing to each person as they are supposed to uptake this food? So I am very passionate about the work that we do at the farmers market and the farming, and really wanting.
Tell us a little bit about the farmers
So
market.
the
Where
farmers
you
market
are, when
is
are you open?
it's every Saturday at we are now at Hope Gardens, and we go from about 9 o'clock until 3. I encourage people right now. The best thing you could do is
It's
know a
only
farm.
in Kingston. There's no other
Right now,
organic.
we're trying to do more locations. One, I think the next two places that will have something maybe is in St. Anne and in Portland. And what we do to we train farmers so that they can understand how to through permaculture and organic farming, how to be better stewards of the land, and so that they will be able to not just grow cash crop vegetables, but tree crops and also the medicinals that you need for the teas and the different things so that we can help detox ourselves and actually move into a much more healthier space. So that's
Right.
really what it is. And I mean, in one way, COVID has been a disaster, but it's also been telling. It almost needs this thing to happen to really let us look at our food system. Because one, there's scarcity coming up. There's also the issue that all this processed food that is coming up, which it's that's what's really causing the problem. And on top of it, we talk about the meats and how they're being raised, the animals are being raised. And to be honest, we never, as far as I see, and the spiritual work that we do in terms of stuff, they never gave us dominion to really over killing or really factory producing animals. The plants and the fruits are made available for us to consume, and that's what we're supposed to be going back to. So I'm happy when Nadine, you can take those beautiful ingredients and turn them into something even more amazing, so that we can consume them. It's very important. And it's more important for more people to understand this information so that when they go and make a choice, they really are choosing really life or death. Because if you eat a chemical after a certain period, you're going to have all of these things, and it all plays itself out in your liver and your kidney, right? And they don't really talk about that. But that's where all of that stuff that we're eating is sitting, and then it goes into the body and it does the damage that it's doing. And so if we look at changing, it's a mindset, and it's a spiritual thing as well to make that shift. So it's not just about, okay, well, I'm just trying to, it really has to get in alignment with the planet and how God organized it and designed it, right, for what we are supposed to be able to feed ourselves with. And it's abundant if we know, if we're not going after greed. And also
Right.
for us as humans to really take back control of our food by knowing how to produce things, right? So it's only a few set of people, and we only say, only stupid people farm. But farming is an amazing science that you have to know the stars and the moon, how to plant, how to do these different things, to give back the respect to the farmers. Also to pay the farmers what they're supposed to get paid, because it is hard work that they're doing. And people complain, oh, I want to. It's one of the only industries that we have to pay retail for everything, and then people are asking us to then give it back to them wholesale. You know what I mean? They want that discount on what? On your temple, on how do you take care of your temple. That's the seat of your soul. And it's the animation of the body that allows us to do the things that we're going to do. And yet still we want to put discounted, bargain, processed things in it. So
But
it really,
Nicola, most times I say to people, you need to eat healthier, right? They say, boy, but eating healthy is so expensive. That's the
it's
first thing. Apart from availability, the next thing is usually, but eating healthy is so expensive.
and it is not expensive. I say that it is not expensive, because what I've been noticing, I would say it's where you put your mind. I see people all the time picking up money and go buy expensive phones, did cards constantly with all of this communication, pick up and all that stuff. But when it comes to your body, which is what allows you to do those things, you're not taking care of it. Look at the amount of expensive cars we see driving around in Jamaica. But yet still, when it comes to taking care of ourselves, we're not doing that. And without doing that, it don't make sense how much house and car you have, right? Also, there's things that we can do as an industry. We have been really living on a lot of, I would say, cheap food by design, right? Because they know that by the food that we eat is really dumbing us down. It literally is dumbing us down. If you look at all the chemicals, and you can talk about this, the various chemicals that are in this popsicle and that drink and that whatever. And if you look at the frequency of those chemicals or what those chemicals do, if you just go on Google it, it says the red dye does this, and if this does this, it literally is making us really stupid. And so the food itself is not empowering us and allowing us to, I call ascension matrix, right? That's what I call it. That's one of the reasons I do the work that we do, is because I want us to ascend. I want us to evolve. And the only way you evolve is if you have the thing that the creator gave you, this body, is to be able to feed it properly. It's like you have a car, you have this very expensive car, and all you do is just keep putting in bad gas in it. At some point, it's going to stop. It's going to break down. It's going to cost you more to keep fixing it, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to look at how we are dealing with things and really start to evaluate what we are doing. And when you say it's expensive, it isn't. It's only expensive because we're not supporting the farmers to do the right thing, right? So there's no support.
And we just don't put the value.
And we don't put the value in it until we get sick. Someone from got sick the other day, and they were saying $70,000 for this, and they're trying to find the money for that. And if he had put those money, found the money for all of those things, all those prescriptions and the tests and the doctors, if he had put some energy into feeding themselves properly, that is where it is. And so we put more energy on the car and the house and the bling than we put on the thing that allows us to even get those things. And so we have to balance it out. And actually really support the farmers so that they can actually do the things that they need to do. And also as a consumer, when you go out and you keep asking, is this organic? Is this naturally grown? Because it's the only way that the industry is going to start changing.
That's the only way they're going to shift. Yeah.
Shift, right? And start making sure that there's enough clean food around for the next generation coming. Some of us just gone bad, right? It just gone bad already. It done gone bad. But we're supposed to be leaving the environment better than we got it. And we're supposed to be taking care of ourselves because we are living much, much longer, right? But we want to live longer with a healthy thing, not hooked up to a dialysis machine and paying the doctor and all those things. We're not supposed to be doing that. And you see that happening a lot. And you're going to be seeing a lot of us that went abroad and we have exposed to the lifestyle. If you're at the airport and watching the people coming back, more and more people in wheelchairs, more and more people really overweight that normally we never had that obesity issue as Jamaicans coming back because of the lifestyle choices. Diabetes is a lifestyle choice. So it all comes back down to what we're consuming and how we are dealing with our bodies and really respecting our body and our temple that we're housing our soul in. So if we look at it that way, I think that I'm getting reconnected to the environment, right? The environment is there and it can tell you what it is that you need. The plants will show up at your doorstep to see what you need to do to heal yourself. But we're not doing that. We're too busy blinging it out and doing all these other things and not being connected back to, the plants and the source. And the animals have a place in all of that. Mm-hmm. The animal has a place in it, but not in a way that we've been dealing with them. And, if you're kept up and only 6 weeks and you're frightened, that's not how things used to happen. And, it's all about balance. And then one other thing. I mean, I'm all about moving in that direction. And I've moved in that direction more and more so. Every once in a while, I have a little something, but I also know in myself that it's not right. And I'm now literally shifting myself into a much more plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. And what I need to do is make sure, and the work that we do is to make sure that there's enough. So we get a lot of doctors that send people to the market. They come with their list and all the things that they have to do for their juicing and their different things. It's plants they're going to. And you have to have clean plants to do the detox and what you're going to go back and put yourself back on. So I'm always encouraging anyone, not just to say I'm moving to a vegetarian or a vegan lifestyle, but then is it clean food? Yes. Is it really clean at the end of the day? Right.
Thank you, Nicola. Yeah. All right, so back to you now, Nads. A part of the challenge is that our palate is accustomed to the meat. I can talk for myself. So in the transitioning to the vegan diet now, and finding places that provide food. Because some people go raw, some people do cooked meals like you, but it's the change of the. How does one trans transition from being a meat eater? Well, as I say, I'm trying it now from Monday to Fridays. It's not a struggle yet. I just started a week and a half ago. So it's not a struggle just yet because I'm still having a little something something on the weekend. But how does one shift? Is it a mind change first, then the palate follows? Um, well, for your food, I find that you do a lot of different things, and so I find the blend, the tastes make a difference to me. Normally, I eat with my eyes first, and then the taste follows. And I've really not been struggling on your food, and that's why I thought it very important to have you on my program because I'm a tough sale. I tell you, I'm a tough sale, but it has been effortless. So, how would you suggest to somebody? And the combining of foods. We don't know anything about. Well, first of all, I guess we have to educate ourselves. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I would want to say that the to move from being a meat eater into any form of dietary change, I think it starts in the mind. You have to want it. It has to start in the mind. It has to be in your heart and it has to be in your soul. You have to be passionate about it. Because if you do it because it's a fad or you do it because you're following or it's just a frivolous move, then you're not going to stick to it. You're going to fall by the wayside. So, and I'll give you an example. I used to smoke many years ago. And when I was very young, I used to smoke and it was kind of like a fad. It was the in thing to do. And people would tell me, as I said, I was always on a diet. People would say to me, don't take this particular sweetener because it will give you cancer. And I would stop, right? No, and even though, and I would stop, not use it, I would not use it. But the cigarette that I used to puff on, that I know for a 100% fact that it can give me cancer, I wouldn't do it because I wasn't ready up here. I was not ready. And the day that I made up my mind to quit, I did it cold turkey and I suffered for almost 3 months with palpitations and all manner of things. But this was the part that was conditioned and ready. So I would say if you're ready upstairs in your mind, I would say don't go cold turkey because it's hard to just cleanse your palate of that, especially if it's not a medical condition and you're forced to do it. So I would say, create a balance. As Nicole would say, everything in life is a balance. So you're doing a pretty good job, Sandy, where you give yourself 5 days off of it and you allow yourself 2 days with it. And you do it slowly. You could probably remove red meat at first, still have your fish and chicken the way you want it. And I would say because of the powder substance, remove that from your meat and your fish. Do a lot of broiling, a lot of baking. Use natural earth seasoning, your scallion, your thyme, your rosemary, your basil, your parsley, your onion, your scallion. Use a lot of that, and try and go to the farmer's market and make sure you get the organic ones, right?
What
So
about detoxing?
detoxing, that's very important, and I'm coming to that. So I would say remove that kind of seasoning from your diet first, and you do a balance, right? And you treat yourself until you can wean yourself off of it, and eventually it will come. But before you get there, as you speak about detox, that is something that you also need because you can't be full of gunk and then put in good food. It doesn't permeate the body and you get the benefits from it. So you really need to cleanse and detox your system and detox your mind and get your body prepared prepare it for the new foods that's coming in. It's just like if you have a house, you clean upstairs and downstairs, or your house still dirty, you need to clean it out properly. And that is what I would suggest for anybody who would like to take on a more, a more balanced, healthier lifestyle. You know what I mean? Just do it slowly. Don't jump headways in it because you might fall to the wayside. As I said, from my personal journey, I wasn't even trying to be that. It was just by buck up. It's just I was always on a diet, and these girls talking about what meat does to your body, and do some research, read about, when you put certain things in your body, what happens to your body, how it makes your body sluggish, and you can see for yourself. You can see the difference. For me, my skin, my vibration. I'm just a happier, very positive person. My hair, my nails, my skin, my breath. When I get up and I'll give you a very good example. My son was diagnosed with asthma when he was about 18 months old, and they had him on ventilator and pump, and every 6 weeks I would be at the hospital with him. Chronic mucus build up, couldn't get rid of it. Pump, you name the steroid, he was on it. And that was from 18 months. And we had that problem all the way up to age 4 when he changed his diet. He has not had an asthma attack since he's 5 years old. I do not give him medicine, and I'm not suggesting anybody does that. I do not give my son store-bought medicine. I do not give him any form of lab medicine. When my son he does not get sick. And his doctor, if she's watching, can attest to that. When he's having a cold, he doesn't even have it. I'll give him a piece of garlic and he'll chew it up. I do natural remedies with him. Thank God he's open to that and he understands. So he's willing to do it. He does not get sick. Doctors are important because if I break my arm, take me to the doctor. I don't want you wrapped up in a piece of herb. You know what I mean? They have their place. But for me, I believe that herb should be your medicine and food should be your medicine. That's my belief. And this is something I learned. I was never always like this, but I learned it. I've read, I've researched, I've asked questions. I'm not a guru on it. So people who like Nicola Shirley, who has a little bit more experience, I'm very open and happy to hear of her personal, road to becoming this organic farmer and making sure that she does it in the correct and right atmosphere. So Sandy, it's all about balance and not going headways into rush it or doing it for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? It has to start up here and you do it, in a little balance. I can't hear you.
Sorry, most of us grow up with, I know, like, when you eat vegetarian, you tend to maybe not have that balance because we're not accustomed to, the protein versus the greens and stuff balance. So how does one go about creating a balance as a vegetarian? Because you have to remove the meat, so the meat is no longer the protein. So what are some of the things that we do to swap that out?
Okay, so for the vegetarian vegan diet, we have lots of plant-based substitute for meat. All the legumes and the greens, all the legumes and the grains, they are just as protein filled as regular animal products. So there's no shortage. There's also talk of B12. We have things that are loaded in B12 in plant-based form that you can take. And we all know that B12 is extremely important to our body because a deficiency in that can lead to like memory loss, weakness, tiredness, and if my memory serves me correct, I think B12 is something that takes the oxygen to your blood, so you really, really need it. And there's a host of things. You have things like nutritional yeast, you have nuts, you have fruits, you have seaweed. So those things have B12 in it also. And the proteins, on the legumes, there's lentil, very high in protein. All the grains and the beans and the peas, very high in protein. So you're not missing it. I think it's just to get acclimatized to the taste. And because, as you said, we were born into this where we get a nice piece of chicken and our rice and peas and little tubs of vegetable, and we're conditioned that way. But we need to change that around and reverse it a little bit. And as you get older, you also have that, you have the mental capacity to do the right thing versus a young child. And I would tell any mothers who have young children, for my son, he wasn't born loving vegetables. I wasted like 1 year of vegetables on him, but I kept putting it on his plate at the house. I remember his nanny who would look after him would say, "Oh, Miss Nadine, I'm not eating it." And I would like put it back on his plate. You put it back on his plate, because he used to love his meat. But I put his broccoli there, I put his callaloo there every day, and he would, until eventually one day he started eating it, and he started eating more of that and less of the meat
You
kind.
have to be persistent.
Persistent. Yeah, man. Yeah, persistent. No, he doesn't like ice cream. He doesn't like cake. He's 10 years old. He's just into his whole healthy stuff, you know.
Mhm.
So it's about training them from they're young. And you, as I said, when you become an adult, you have that mental capacity to change that, you know, and reverse what you have learned, like every other thing else that you can do in your life. And especially if you know this is going to benefit you, you know, preserve your life, make you live longer, and also not just about living longer, but living healthy. You understand me? And not be sick, I should say, in a wheelchair, bound up, reduce your heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, those things. All of those things can be reversed in a Sunday.
Well, well,
All of
well,
them.
that let me confess my sins. So the reason why I started, I went to Heart Foundation because I'm a member, and because I'm on medication I did chemo. I've been on medication for hypertension and diabetes, hypertension and high cholesterol. The last time I went and I did my executive profile, he says my sugar levels are elevated. So I say, something, Sandra, you're getting older, you're not processing food as you were before, and things are getting serious. So I say, something, you really need to make a shift. You really need to make a shift. But what I realized, in even just in 1 week, of 1 week and a half of doing the shift, I'm like, I don't know. And whereas I am not a regular person, so I literally stay near to the bathroom now. And normally that's not me. So I've become more regular, which they say, and I'm sure I've heard it several times, that constipation can be one of the things that make you ill because you are not flushing. The system is not flushing as before. So that if there's that one shift, I know that has been that shift since I started. And of course, I've done my deworming, and I'm doing my cleanse, and so I'm going through the whole process because I have an intent. I really would love to come off the medication. I see where my girlfriend, who is she's Marsha Ann, she says he has not taken medication. She's a big juicer. I did see where she said stop taking some of her med. Oh, I don't even take the meds I used to, and that is significant because she had remind me again, Marsha, and God, I don't know why my mind has stepped out for a bit. Lupus. She's a lupus survivor. So that is significant that she has been able to come off of some of her meds. I mean, she's a juice master. So Tara, the name of Nadine's restaurant is Veganly Vegetarian, and she is in Seymour Park. What shop number is it now?
It's Seymour Park Business Complex. It's shop number 7 across from El Shaddai Medical Center or Kids
Right,
Clinic,
right.
adjacent.
Right. She was asking. She was asking she came on late. Well, we came on late and she came on late. Yes, you wanted to say something, Nicola.
Yeah, I also was saying, in terms of the medicines and stuff that people are taking, it's important for you to be able to do a liver and kidney flush as you're doing these, taking whatever they're prescribing, and as you make a transition into more plant-based medicines as well. Those things are available to kind of help rebalancing, but we have to continue to look at those systems that are really holding a lot of the toxins. Because before I came back, I was working. Actually, I was going to be doing a product, and I went to a company that was actually making some of these pills. And when he was showing me that, going to a very clean space, was a beautiful, operation, and he was showing me these are the fillers. So they have a lot of fillers in these tablets, and maybe only a percentage of the tablet is really where the medicines are, and the rest of it is filled. And your body will take that in and is like, what is it going to do with it? So as much as you're doing that as well, is to remember that you also have to not just the detox of the bowel, but make sure that you do the liver and kidney flushes
Red
and
blood
check with the
cleanse.
doctor and see what's going on with that, because that's where a lot of the problems. And they're not going to tell you that. And that's why you see so many people on dialysis and all that stuff, because that is end up being the breakdown, because all that stuff goes in and it has to be sorted out in those organs. And then what left is what, then we have the problems. But yeah,
We
absolutely.
see, we see through this pandemic, a lot of people have been suffering from kidney damage. I don't know what is causing it, but that seems to be the order of the day, where COVID is concerned.
Because if you're taking all the medicines, it has to sit. If it's something that is unusual, or because it's like the way we were designed is like when things come in, it comes in certain, like if this is a mineral, this is a this, and this is whatever. The body can recognize things, but when the body is taking things that is not recognized, it has to do something with it, and it can't eliminate it or put it where it needs to go, so it holds on to it. And it's holding on in many places, and then you say, "Oh, I have inflammation in this, or I have all these different things," but it's really the body's like, "What do I do?" And so we want to make sure we don't want to put things that is going to damage us inside, because then we're going to have to deal with it at some point, later down the road or whatever. And so that's why we have to be very clear about when we open that mouth, what's going in, or when we take some kind of injection or something else, what's in it, and even the foods. I mean, we do at the farmers market, we've started to do residue testing on things, because a lot of people want to come into the farmers market. And I'm like, we're doing a residue test. And that's to tell you if you have if those plants have been exposed to, or whatever. We've had a number of people that come to us that have heavy metal poisoning because of the lands that the foods were grown on, or whatever is going into the being sprayed. And then when they go to the doctor, they're like, how you get heavy metal poisoning? And it's because a lot of the lands are not healthy. So our work is also to restore the soil. That's what organic's all about. Is how do we restore the soil and the environment? So we have to really be thoughtful about it.
Organic, so organic food growing is not only not using pesticides. It's
Building soil.
what. Mm,
It's really what it's about. It's a basic thing. Because if you have a healthy soil, it will give you a healthy plant, and the plants will be able to then withstand the pests and that kind of stuff. And if you are going to be doing any kind of sprays or things like that to balance out the plant, it should be plant medicine back on it. And that's what people don't understand. Those cocktails, people don't know that the only reason that these chemicals came in is they were doing the Agent Orange spraying over Vietnam and stuff, and they had all the stockpile of these things left over, and they decided to change the names on these things and let us start spraying them. So we literally are spraying poisons onto our food, and like not understanding, right, what is going on. But there's a lot of the system that we live in is an amazing system, and it can heal itself, and so our body can do the same thing if we give it the things that it's necessary, that it needs, and most of it is the plants. The other thing I was quickly saying before I know that we're probably wrapping up soon is that as we move forward,
no man, no man. This is
because we're
here now.
evolving,
There's no pressure. When we're
okay,
done, we're done. Yes.
as we're evolving, we need to start to look at the thing that I'm also working on with folks is um, looking at people's individual where they sit, like an astrological thing, and saying each sign there are things that will make you feel better for. Like there are people that do a particular kind of diet when they figure out what their constitution is and they eat to their constitution. right?
Mhm.
So there's things that I'm allergic to, and I don't care. This is we're born that way. Some reason I can't have that thing, and I just stay away from it. And then there are other people that have other things. So we need to start learning about ourselves and being able to eat to our constitution. That will help us to do the work that we came to do. But if you're feeding a child, like for instance, they didn't know. I was allergic, I'm lactose intolerant. Most black people are lactose intolerant. And yet, so you see
I
all the
am.
milk commercials um, pushing milk and milk products on us. And that makes us get the asthma, it makes us get inflamed, it's
My
irritating,
sinuses work
sinuses,
overtime
the
on a
skin.
regular basis. You hear me having this little cough? Sinuses.
Yep. And once they took me, I mean, I went to, when I was in the US, I was having eczema, I was having all kinds of problems. And I went to this very expensive specialist and he said, cut out the yeast, the breads, and the cheese. And I was 19 at the time and a chef. I said, this man is a madman. I was like, he's crazy. No pizza night, no ice cream, no Haagen-Dazs, no, I just said, I just paid this money to this man and he's gonna tell me foolishness. And I continue to have the problems, all the problem. Every time I eat anything, I'm just congested, I'm itchy, I'm allergic. And then finally I said, okay, so now you figure out what it is after all these years. And I have to like cut that. And every time I literally, if I eat some cheese, I mean, we women, we love cheese. We eat the cheese, it's right there. And I think it's important to, in these forums to tell parents, to remind them that we are really, as black people, lactose intolerant. We do not consume. And even the Maasai, you see Maasai with their cows and whatever. If they drink any of that milk, it's mixed with the blood. It's like a balancing thing. And there's a science behind all of that. But we are not, we were never exposed to that. And in our DNA, we're not used to that. So when we start to eat, have those products in us, then you see all the inflammation and all those things happening. So we have to, as a culture, start to look at those things and look at what
Mhm.
they're programming us. Because my thing is, once you are having fluoride, you have fluoride in your toothpaste, you have the milk, you have, I mean, you think about all the things that we're eating. We're eating white rice, which is like eating, having crack. I mean, most of the things that we have is high glucose, the corn syrup stuff. It's literally cracking us out. And we wonder why we're behaving the way
It's
we are.
addictive because
It's
when you think
addictive.
about carrot, you can't think about carrot with nothing else but white rice.
Right, you eat that, but if you think about it, it really is not a good thing because you're stripping away all the nutrients on it. Anything that is white flour, white bread, whatever, the wholeness is that your body needs to be able to do its processes is gone. And so we just are, we really are being programmed to really, it's like almost killing ourselves. And so we also look at things like even just the growing of the rice. Why are we do not grow rice in Jamaica anymore? There's
Right.
nobody growing rice, and we're importing a product that we're not growing. So they could do anything to that stuff, and we wouldn't know. We really have to know, go back and know our farmers. Jamaican people are very kind of funny, We don't eat from certain people. You know how we are. We say we don't eat from that person. But yet still, all of this, you go into supermarkets, it's
Mhm.
all this crap that comes in. And nobody's saying, just because I have a nice little box and a little packaging on it, we swear it is clean. And we see boxes that say export only, and we're still eating it. And it's all of it is high fructose corn syrup in various many forms, right? And we're traveling. Carrots are coming from, I don't even know how far these carrots are coming across, and we're buying these carrots, knowing that these people are spraying all kinds of stuff in it, and nobody's questioning anything. And yet, still, when we do the science and the research behind it, and I was talking to somebody at Bureau Standards, and we test our products that we grow in Jamaica, it's at a higher standard and value and nutritional value than all the stuff that we're importing. And that's why a lot of people that come to Jamaica to and get well, because once they go back to the fruits and the vegetables and the coconut water and those things, and do a detox and clean themselves, half the time the cancers are gone. I have about 4 people personally that I know that would come to Jamaica and they gave them 6 months to live. And they come and they clean up their system and they come back and the doctor's like, what did you do? It's because they came and they did that. They did all the things in terms of growing up and the fruits and those things that they were used to doing from growing up and eating a certain way, that getting access to those healthy foods. And then, but I see the balance shifting now, right? where I go and I look at the parking lot in a KFC on a Sunday, and the line is as long as I don't know what. I mean, like, what are we doing? We're
That's
not
quick.
cooking
It's
anymore.
quick. It's
It's
quick.
quick, but it's a quick for you to die as well, and a quick for you to spend money when your cholesterol is, and you're quick for your blood pressure to go up. So we have to like reclaim our liberty in terms of how we're doing things and really think about what we're doing. And I think that there's a shift that's happening. You know, the reason that you're moving and you're feeling this way is also a shift that is going on with all of us. And as we make this shift, we need to start to think about the things that we've been rushing around doing. We're rushing around doing it for what? Why are we doing that? When we could spend just as much time to take time with our family and get the kids involved or the family involved, and we make a meal together. And that's what is keeping the family together and all those things. We're rushing now to go, rush to do what? To sit down to play a game on a computer or something else that is not bringing us together and not allowing us. We're going to raise a bunch of children that do not know how to cook, that cannot survive, cannot cook for themselves. And so it's a whole lifestyle that we really have to look at and evaluate what is important for us and if we're going to be still on the planet. Because if we continue to do the things, we're just going to be out. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And so we want to be here, and I want us to be here, and I want us to start making better choices and being able to have, maybe show us just the fact that the restaurant is there and show it is possible. That it's possible to do this, and you can have a selection of things. And if you are in a rush, do take time for yourself and go and pick up some food from her that she's lovingly prepared. It's her passion thing. It's the thing that she's put positive energy in there, and her staff and everything is doing this good work. It's good work. And so if we're going to go and spend money at other people's places that is not supporting our well-being, do not put your energy into those people that are poisoning you. Put your energy into people who are trying to give you good, clean food and, support the market, support the restaurants. And there are a lot more places are coming up now that understands what's going on and support them. As you do this, the prices of things will come down because you say, oh, this thing is so expensive. It's expensive.
Tara is saying she doesn't know where to start.
Huh?
She said, Tara is saying, OMG, I don't know where to start. Help.
The starting is whatever that next meal that you want that you're going to prepare for yourself. First thing you could do is come to the market and get whatever that thing that you are going to eat, try and replace it with something clean. If you're in a rush and you need to get something and you're in Kingston, go and support this young lady in her restaurant so you can get something good. You start in small, Rome wasn't built in a day. And as you said, it takes some time to do small shift, because when you do that, it's been consistent. So you just look at it. Look in your cupboard. The first thing you do is look in your cupboard. Anything that is not healthy and processed, throw that shit out. Let me tell you straight up. Go through it and throw it out. Because they did not build that thing for your well-being. They built it for straight money and for you to purchase, and it looks pretty and the colors look whatever. But you look at it, is there any whole foods in it? If the label has too many things that you don't even know how to pronounce, stuff out. Right?
But they can't pronounce.
No, I'm not lying. It just makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. And so take back your life.
He's asking if you deliver from the farmer's market.
We do deliver from the farmer's market. You can give us a call and
what's the number? What's the number?
I'm going to give you my number and then I will pass you on. And it's a WhatsApp number too. So it's 421-8838. Mm-hmm. Right? And then we do.
And for those who just joining, the farmer's market is at Hope Gardens. Mm-hmm. Where are Hope Gardens?
The historic entrance. And you just come, there's a sign that says Ujima on it. It's that the light with the ministry before turning into and it's Ujima. And it means collective work and responsibility. Right? So
UGI or UJI?
UJIMA. It's a UJIMA. Right.
They can find you online?
Yes, we have a Facebook and Instagram. Yes, you can find us.
What's your handle on Facebook and Instagram?
You're asking her. I have to go get the young people. Make one of them young people.
If we put in Ujima, we'll show you.
Yeah, you'll find it. Ujima Farmers Market, Natural Farmers Market, and you'll find it.
Okay.
And just
mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was also encouraging people to please get back and start. If you have a backyard or a balcony or you have a piece of family land, want to start farm something because they're orchestrating a food shortage. And I'm encouraging people to get some seeds. Even if they're treated at this point, get some seeds, put some things in, learn how to all of the things that your grandparents used to do, you didn't remember to do. Start to do that. Know a farmer. Farmer's your best friend right about now because you can call them and they maybe give you a little something. So they're orchestrating a food shortage, and so we know it is coming, and it'd be fools if we do not set ourselves up to be able to access the things that we need.
Marshawn is asking if you guys sell soil.
If we sell what?
Soil.
We don't sell soil. We don't sell it. We used to sell. There's some farmers that used to bring in some soil and sell, but no. But what we can do is help you to regenerate the soils that you have. We really are about doing that. So if you have any soil, we can, or you have a backyard, we can tell you how to get it back to condition it so you have the nutrients and the microorganisms working for you.
Okay. Nadine, do you work with persons, individuals? Say I am 400 pounds and I want to come to you to say, I'm interested in, losing weight. Is this something that you do? Is it something that you plan to do?
Currently, no, I'm not doing that because my restaurant is just about overarching overall well-being. It's not really a diet, so to speak, in terms of weight loss. However, the foods that I make, because it's fiber filled, it's a lot more greens, no white flour, no white sugar, no processed. There's nothing processed. There's nothing from a can. So if you eat like that and remove the processed sugar and the dairy and the white stuff, you naturally will see a shrink in your waistline and your body. So, but no, I'm not geared. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
No, say I'm looking forward to it. The shrinking of the waistline. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. And no, it's not. I don't have a weight loss, but if you eat like that, you will reap the benefits and you will see those results. So
for those persons who are currently pescatarian, so they eat seafood. What is the what am I trying to ask? You serve only vegan meals. Is there why don't you serve fish? Is there a reason why you don't do fish? Is there a reason why you don't?
As I said before, I was a pescatarian for a very long time, but one of the things I find, I used to have two types of fish. It used to be a snapper and a salmon. But what I find is that the salmons are being harvested, and I didn't want that in my body. And it was very hard to find wild caught salmon in Jamaica. And if you read the labels, it will say wild caught, but it isn't. If you look properly, it will say harvested. Once you see those, you know that they're in a pond. They feed them, and some of them are cultivated. They actually make them. And so I decided not to participate. I never liked any other fish except saltwater snapper. I don't eat freshwater, and I don't eat the imported ones. So after a while, it became very difficult to get access to that. So I was just reduced to only having snapper because I couldn't get the salmon. And I refused to eat it any at all. And then because I started to make meals at home along the avenue of just vegan for my son, I eventually just adapted that lifestyle. So the transition wasn't hard for me. But if they are going to, and they do, as I said, if they're trying to transition and they want to go and do their fish and their chicken, or they just want to do a pescatarian thing, I would say find a fish that is not salt, it's not freshwater, it's not imported. Try and see if you can get your hands on deep sea saltwater fish, and watch out for the harvested pond fish. They're no good. And just try and eat that way until you can make a full leap. I would never tell anyone to rush into it. It's not an easy journey.
Mhm.
And but once you get into it and you start seeing the benefits, that should be enough motivation for you to want to continue, especially if see the benefits, should make you want to continue.
In my
So,
job, I'm a barber by well, I'm an esthetician. I'm a beauty therapist. So I do hair, I do face, skin is my business. What I can tell you from my 27 years of experience, there is about and I didn't realize it was such a high incidence of eczema, an extremely high rate of eczema. I don't know if it's because of males. Well, males is my own experience, but like every third, fourth person has eczema. And when I say bad, I mean bad. And another thing is to um, sinuses. Person's sinuses constantly draining, constantly having sniffles, constantly having a cough. What are some of the things that they can cut out of their diets to help alleviate this issue?
okay, for me and my personal experience and my family, I can tell you there was a family member that I had that once suffered greatly from eczema. They were on steroid rubs and they would pop the pills. They removed everything dairy from their diet, everything, anything dairy was removed from their diet. Corn was also a high contributor, and also eggs was one contributor, and potatoes. And they removed that, and I can tell you, I can attest to it that they no longer have eczema. And keep your skin, and eczema lives on dry skin. So you have to keep your skin moisturized, and also your water intake has to go up. But I know for my experience, the removal of the egg, the corn, the potatoes, and all dairy products, the cheese, the milk, um, cheese, milk, butter. Um, do
Anything
that.
dairy?
Yeah.
Right, do that. I know corn was a high factor, Joe. Do that, and that includes the condensed milk into the porridge. Try to drink a bit more bush tea. I'm not a big fan of cerasee, but I'll have it and I'll spice it up with a little ginger tea. But try and go to the natural teas, the fever grass, the lemon. When I peel my oranges, I hang them and dry them, and then I boil them and make tea with them. I use lime leaf, I use soursop leaf, I use neem. Um, did I say fever grass, mint,
Yes.
ginger? Just about not about everything, but those that I'm privy to what their benefits are, I'll take those. I don't buy it. My son doesn't drink Horlicks and Milo. None of those kind of things is consumed at all. There's no can I avoid the aisle in the supermarket? Like I just don't go in there. I'm a market lady. I mean, my market trolley is huge. You know what I mean? And yeah, and just try and not eat the bread. The mucus forming things also, you need to stay away from that. Well, bread is nice, I used to love it, but no, I do unleavened flatbread occasionally.
What are some of the substitutes for bread? What would you suggest? Some of the substitutes for bread, because I know bread is a big thing for Jamaican people because once hurricane anything hit like that, any locking bread seller, there's not if anything coming up, any lockdown, you can't find one bread on the shelf. So what are some of the substitutes that people can use for bread?
Okay, they can do breadfruit. Breadfruit is a very nice substitute for bread. They can do bread enough, but just not they can do unleavened bread. There's gluten-free bread that is not as bad as the you know, sweet potato bread. There is bread that is made
I'm
from,
gonna
right,
come take a
exactly, at
call.
the farmers market. As a matter of fact, at the farmers market, there's a gentleman there who bakes bread from I think potato and cassava and sweet potato and turmeric with molasses and lovely. Shelf life is not as long as the regular life, but you cut, what I would normally do is cut it in half and use up over the weekend, and it's so lovely. The taste is much different, and freeze the other half and just take it out as needed. But and breadfruit, well, natural breadfruit we have, and eat yam and banana and cocoa and that shit. It is much better than rice and bread. And
Yeah.
just and you don't need 4 to 5 pieces in your plate. One piece or two piece with your greens or your vegetable or some beans, is good enough. There's a saying about how the portion in your plate should be in terms of the palm of your hand, that this should be like, I think, your vegetable, this should be I think this is your vegetable, that's how it is, and this is your meat, and this should be like your protein or something like that. Your vegetable, no, carbs, vegetable, and protein, something like that, right? Carbs, vegetable, protein.
Tara, what do you want us to expand on? I'm missing where what you said you wanted me to expand on. Just drop me a note to say what you said you wanted with us to expound on more on something. So just drop me a line to say what you want us to expound on. Okay. Thank you, Nadine. Nicola, there are how can people, well, apart from the organic market on Saturdays, how can people start to um, start getting clean food? Is it that they need to, wherever they shop, they need to ask where does the food come from? They need to be more discerning of how does one go about, you know, managing
Read labels.
Right. So it
food.
really is about, knowing there are, no matter where you are in Jamaica, there is always some farmer that is actually doing, well, if it's not certified organic, it is some kind of natural growing because of how their liberty is. So you can trust that, if you go and you go on the farm and you look at for certain things, are they using chemicals? Are they using Roundup? Are they spraying it? So even though we have the farmers market, there are a number of people throughout the island that are actually growing things organically or in a natural way. So trying to meet those farmers and having conversations with them about their growing process. That's one. The other thing I'm always encouraging people, of course, I was just saying it, is that start to put some things in for yourself. Start, when you plant a tree years ago, but even if it start now, you in 3 or 4 years you'll be able to get something. We talked, you mentioned earlier about the breadfruit. Starting to use our ingredients that we have on island. Like we have a breadfruit, there's a breadfruit project that we're in right now in terms of growing breadfruit, but also making it into a flour. And actually, that came out of a big demand. There's a company called Patagonia in the US that is a clothing, where they opened a food service line of things. And so they want to make crackers, and they were looking for a regenerative system because all of the wheat, a lot of the wheat is being sprayed with the Roundup. So that's why people are having all these gut issues and all this stuff, because you think of how much flour is in different things. So you really need to stay away from the flours that are like, that are really brought in by the US, because a lot of it is just has a lot of soil in it, and also has it's sprayed with the Roundup. So they were actually planting throughout the Caribbean and all the tropical zone more breadfruit trees, so that they would start to make the breadfruit flour, so they can do all these value added products. So part of it is like we have a lot of things that is here that we can use, like the cassava. You see all the Bammies now in different flavors and different stuff. We have to, we have a shifting our palates. It's interesting. We want a North American palate, and the North Americans want our palate, right? So we need to honor the things that's here, that we're growing in our own ecosystem, instead of importing a lot of these things. So the access is one. Start where you stand. That's the first thing. Know your food. Start to grow some things, and you just feel good. You even a little callaloo. You start out or whatever, a little pepper. I mean, one of the reasons I started growing some of my own things is that I went to the store, and the pepper at the time was $400 a pound. I'm like, I'm not buying $400 a pound pepper. It was like one pepper. So I started to put the pepper in, and I I have so much pepper I'm giving away to people. And I started a cucumber, and the cucumbers are, I was giving away cucumbers. And I think if we do that and start trading with each other, which we used to do years ago, you plant a pepper plant and you just keep picking from that pepper and you put
Mhm.
another one when you see it's going on. So those are kind of things that we should be doing. That's one. Two, support the farmers that are there because they're having a struggling time, especially the organic farmers don't get any support. Let me just say no support whatsoever. The other thing to do is that when you go into places, this is what they did in the US, and they would go into places and say, you have anything that's what's organically grown? Is it locally grown? And they would insist on, and after the managers keep hearing this over and over time, they say, oh, there's a demand for it. And
Right.
now literally
But
this is
we
what
need to
happened.
know that we are
We are
important
the
to the shift.
right. It is us.
Yeah.
And if you want to think there, if you did, we decide that we
And
want to
based on
grow,
demand.
they would have to do that. And so, for instance,
Right.
I give you a prime example of this: the company that is mostly provide most of the fertilizer through the fertilizer in Jamaica, because when the ganja growers came and they cannot use the synthetic stuff, because once you are growing weed and once you're going to make it into oil, think about it. You're growing it, you're spraying chemicals, and then when you turn it into oil, it's now infused with this chemical as well. It brings it back to this chemical state. So if you're going to use that as medicinal, how are you going to do that? So they had to start providing organic amendments and for the ganja. So now they have a line of organic products. So it's really a market demand. And if the demand keeps saying we don't want no more of that shit, anytime we say we're done, because all we have to say is that we're over. And then the ministry and all of the people that support the other system will have to like switch. And so what I'm
But
finding
why,
now,
why for a country that's pushing healthy lifestyle, let's move program, all of that, why wouldn't the organic farming be supported?
because
I don't understand.
it's a mathematical issue. What's happening? We have a lot of importers that can sit
Yes,
on their computer and order a truckload of carrots from wherever, and they can just logistics a logistic issue. So now they
yes,
can do that because at the time the dollar was cheap enough that they could actually bring things in, ship things over, and then flood the market with stuff. Right? If you watch the movie Life and Debt, it tells you each industry how that happened. So because they can do that, um, it's easy for them to just bring the things in, flood the market. The farmers suffer. But now with the cost of it's doubling the price of the shipment and where the things are coming from, they're having a lot of issues. The price is going to go up. And really what we have is a food security issue. That's literally we're right now with a food security issue. And I sure Nadine can tell you the prices are going up, right? You see the prices,
There.
right? Plastic creeping because that cheap good that they would just buy and flood our markets with the carrots and the potatoes and all these different things, it's not so easily available. So the prices are going to go up, and we're losing our farmers' ability to be able to farm certain things because those farmers are aging out. The young people are not going into farming because they're just like, we're not doing that. It's not sexy, for them. They're thinking it's not, and so we're going to be in the next couple of years having a problem because who is going to replace
you're frozen, frozen, not hearing you, you're frozen. If you wanna, oh, you wanna come out and come back in, come out and come back in. Hello, Nicola? Exit and come back. You can hear me. You're frozen. She's not hearing me. Let me call her. Okay. Nadine, someone was asking about um intermittent fasting. Do you have any information on intermittent fasting? Is that something that you practice? Do you know?
I did at one point used to do it because
What
um
is first
with
of all,
in,
what is intermittent
okay, so
fasting?
intermittent fasting is not consuming any food or liquid for a period of time. You can start out with a 8 hour fast, move it up to 10 hours, 16 hours. And what it does
What
is
is
when
this? I was going to ask you.
Right. So what it does is when you do intermittent fasting, it helps your body to, is she back? It helps your
Yes.
body
Right, I'm
to,
here. Let's see how long. I mean,
okay,
I probably will have to go in the next 5 minutes. So
Yeah,
just
man. Okay. All right.
okay. So it helps your body to regenerate cells. You know, your cells are breaking down the foods that you're eating, dealing with the outside element, all the toxin in the air and all of that to your body. So what it does, it just you remove the ability for your body to keep breaking down and working and just to regenerate itself and just be at rest. So it regenerates cells quicker, faster, and you can do it. Some people can do a 48-hour fast. I've never gone that. Most I've done a full 24-hour fast.
And when you say a
Um,
fast, you have nothing at all, not water, nothing, or just
After 10 hours, I had some tea. I had some ginger tea, which was just ginger and water after 10 hours. And that's what I had for 2 10-hour break. And I'm telling you, it's a wonderful feeling. I did it with a doctor who is a holistic doctor, and he encouraged me to do it, and I tried it. And it's a really good experience for your body, just to give your body
and
a
this is
break.
when you
To
say intermittent
regenerate.
fasting. This is something that you do every week, you do it every day, you do it once a month. Intermittent, how
I
does intermittent
so
fasting work?
No, it's not a regular practice of mine, but I have done it like 3 times already for this year. I've
Okay.
done it, but it's not
So
something that I
you
practice.
choose a specific time when you do it, what, on a daily basis, like for a week, for a month? How does it work?
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear that.
When you're doing intermittent fasting, how long does it last? Does it last for a week? Does it last for a month? What kind of time
Three,
period do you do?
3 days.
Oh, three
3 days
days.
is the month I do it for.
Okay, okay.
3 days. So
Hopefully
I
we
will
answer
go.
the question, Carol.
So what I do is that I eat within a 6 to 8 hour period, and then for the rest of the 24 hours, I'm on the fast. So
Okay,
that's what
okay.
I do. And I do that over a 3 day period. So I have a 6 hour window, whether it's from 7 to 1 or 7 to 2. And then I eat right within that period. And then I give my body a break and I don't eat again until the following morning at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter is dropping a few nuggets in the chat. He says he does a jerk lentils, stewed gungo peas, stewed split peas, peanut porridge, avocado seed, and of
Sounds
course
good.
favorite curry. Is it chick? I guess it's called chickpeas.
Mhm.
So I guess you're totally vegan then, Peter. He says big agriculture didn't like what Nicola just said because of course it's a money game, but persons have to take it up on themselves to be healthy. You can't allow persons to dictate your health.
Right.
So you really have to be discerning when it comes to your health. So as we wrap up, Nadine and Nicole, I just want to ask you ladies, give me five of your top advice nuggets. Wait, I keep getting some feedback from Nicole. Let's kill our mic for now. Um, I start with you, Nadine. Five top advice with in terms of becoming vegan, eating clean, healthy lifestyle. Um, and just let us know where we can find you again and what are your opening hours, what is your address and telephone number and your social media handle.
Okay. So five of my top tips that I would
Yeah.
recommend for whether it's for transition or if you're there is one, to create balance. Create balance. Don't rush into it. Get yourself mentally prepared. That's one. Two, increase your water intake. Water intake, your kidneys will thank you. You need to flush your kidneys, flush toxins out of your body. So drink water.
So
Three,
I just say drink water. I mean, what is banter about is 8 glasses a day. Is that your recommendation?
It's not, it is recommended on paper, but it's with our lifestyle and work, and it's just not practical some of the time. So I would say if you can just fill a container. From me, I just get like a 32-ounce container and fill it, and I sip from morning until night. You're busy, you're doing, you're moving, you're talking, you're taking meetings. It's not always practical for you to stop and have a glass of water, but whatever you can, just make it a part of your daily routine to have your water intake as much as you can, right? And so that would be my number two. Number three, I would say exercise. Exercise, we can't leave that out. It's very important. If it's even a brisk walk, with a friend, if you don't like going by yourself, it's even to buy a jump rope and skip exercise. We cannot leave that out. We must exercise just to get your cardiovascular going, your heart rate going up. It's just a nice sweat. It helps with your overall maintenance of your body and your organs. Four, have some sunshine. Get off the computer and go outside and enjoy the sun. Don't bask in it because it can damage your skin, but the sun gives you a natural vitamin that you can't get from any lab medicine or anything like that. So the sun is your friend, with balance, of course. I'm not sending you in there to bake. And five, come and eat at Veganly Vegetarian, where we where we take care of your body and your organs, and your meals are prepared with love and consideration, and they're thoughtfully prepared. I have some wonderful chefs. My recipes, I spend a lot of time putting them together, and I'm located at shop number 7 at Seymour Park Business Complex, which is across the road from El Shaddai Medical Center / Kids Clinic. We open Monday to Saturday. Monday to Friday, we're open 11 to 5, and on Saturdays, 11 to 4. My IG handle is Veganly Veggie JA. That's Veganly Veggie JA. You can find me there, and come and check out my menus. It's posted by 9:30 every morning, and we do.
And you do deliver?
And we do deliveries. We've been having some hiccups, but we're working on it assiduously. It's not that it's fallen on deaf ears. So come on down. We've got some nice treats for you. And I mean, just to promote one of the stuff that we do, I do patties. I do 7 flavors of patties. So there are
some patties.
Thank you. So there's
the first thing I tried was the pumpkin patty. People, it tastes like a living meat. I don't know if it's my mind. I don't know if it's my mind. Trust me. You know when sometimes you use pumpkin in soup, and even in the pumpkin taste kind of take over the food.
Yeah.
Believe me, I have one in my fridge right now. It is delicious.
Thank you, Sandra.
All the patties, because I bought them just to try the various different types. Excellent.
Thank you.
She's not paying people.
She's not. I know. My promise.
You know me. When I find something that makes me happy, I share it with everybody. Everybody knows me. If I find a place, if I find a thing, if I find food, I share it, especially when it's healthy for you and it's good for you. The patties are the boss. The mixed veg, the lentil, the ackee, the pumpkin.
Yes, thank you. So as I was saying, we carry 7 different flavors of patties. We have ackee, pumpkin, callaloo, mixed veg, chickpeas, split peas, and lentil, I believe, or I think that covers the 7. The crust, a lot of people, I get this question, what is the crust made from? The crust is made from amaranth flour, cornmeal, and spelt. Amaranth and cornmeal is gluten-free. Spelt, however, has a weaker gluten construction than conventional wheat. It is a wheat. So if you're totally gluten intolerant, I would not advise you to have it. But if you can tolerate gluten a little bit, you can have it, because as I said, the construction of it is way weaker, right? And we do hot meals. We do a different type of soup each day. We cook with sea moss, saffron, turmeric, lots of herbs and spices. And our natural juices taste just like the fruit. We don't use sugar. We don't use white sugar. We don't use brown sugar. We don't use white flour. We do it with cane juice or beetroot, which is cold press. We do a lot of baked treats. We have coconut cornmeal pudding. We have cassava pudding. We have spelt. Today we did a almond carrot cake. It was an almond, sorry, it's a carrot cake made from almond flour and walnut. It is divine, and we use date sugar to sweeten it. So what we do, we buy the actual dates, we dehydrate it and powder it out, and we use that as a sweetener. So we have come up with creative ways to, infuse as naturally as we can into our product without using the process, without going through the whole store-bought process stuff. And our foods are just absolutely divine and delicious. And come on down and give it a try.
No, you have me as a client. Trust me.
Thank you, Sandra.
People. Let me tell you. No joke. No joke. I've been, as I said, I've been testing the water for quite a bit, and I'm telling you, when I eat your food, I don't miss the meat.
Thank you.
Serious. Thank you so much. Over to you now, Nicola. What are your before I go there, I just want to ask your views on juicing. On juicing. Then you can Nicola. Juice.
My
about juicing, and then you can just wrap up with your five
tips.
Okay, so for me, juicing, it's I think we have to be very careful with the juicing, because it came, a lot of people, we want to juice, but sometimes those things are a little bit too concentrated, because it depends on how you're juicing things, and your body is like, what is that? It's a shock to the system. So you have to be careful. Like I used to make a lot of juices in the restaurant and do some juicing. And then I had a doctor that was explaining to me that some of the things that we wanted to juice, when we do that, is a concentration. And we're leaving out for instance, a carrot, for instance. When a carrot, you're having the fiber, you're having all those things in it. And when we used to make it, the traditional way, we say Jamaican way, we used to put some water with it, and we used to make our little juices and stuff like that.
Shift a little, yeah, right, yeah.
Right. We used to make it that way. I always thought it was a bad way to do it, and I would want to do like the juicer. And then the doctor was saying to me, no, because your body's now having this concentration of it. If you're on a particular dietary thing and they're saying just juice that thing, like you want a shot of wheatgrass or something like that, they might actually give you certain things. But I think we have to be careful, because that's not the way our body's used to accepting that food, and so then it shocks the system. That's what I was told. So I'm very careful about doing those straight juice items like that. So that's what I was told. So other people might have other information. I could probably find some people that know a lot more about it. But just for me as a chef making the thing, I really was concerned about that, and that's what I was told.
So what you're suggesting is that some you need to, like, water needs to be added.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was saying. That's what the doctor was saying to me about and I think about it, because the body, the way how the item, whatever the produce is that comes, right? When we try to process it, I mean, I use something bad, like let's use cocaine, for instance, as an example. But the traditional people, when you get that coca leaf when they were in the Amazon and they were eating that coca leaf, they would chew on it, and it would give them energy to walk from long distances. And then the Europeans came and said, what is this that's making these people be able to walk 4 days straight without having to break? And then they took this thing and synthesized it and pulled the extractions out of it, and now synthesized it into what we consider cocaine. So when you take that into your system now, it's not in its natural state, right? And we're concentrating it. And it's a similar thing for me when I look at some of these things that are just juice straight. What is it doing to your kidney? When you take that in and it goes into your bloodstream, it's not the traditional way it's used to being eaten. And so now what is it doing? So sometimes you might need that. I don't know. You have to talk to your doctor or somebody who has more knowledge about that. But when I was making juices,
like a cocktail.
Yeah, I had a line of juices. I had 7, 8 different juices. This is before Otwile and all these people came with the juices. We used to have it in a restaurant, and we used to do it, throughout Philadelphia, New Jersey. And so I was kind of like, oh, it's not quite, but this is our traditional way. And I was told, no, that's the way that you should do it, not these, because sometimes these fads come up and we don't really, it sounds like a good thing. And then you find out like, it really isn't a good thing for you. So you have to kind of use, some of the traditional ways of us doing it is because the ancestors them told our grandparents how to do certain things and we do it. So we have to kind of test the things out and listen to that logic. Yeah. So that's what I have for you about the juice thing. For me now, about the 5 things. For me right now, I'm really trying to get people to get reconnected back to the natural world. And one of the things that, like Spirit was trying to explain to us, that because we're on the planet does not mean that everything else around us doesn't have a voice. And the example they gave me was, say, if I took you and I put you in China and you didn't speak Chinese, and there was no, everything is in Chinese, you don't know, would you be able to communicate? You could do some communication, but for the most part, you wouldn't understand all the language that they were speaking. And the natural world is that it's there and it's speaking to us every day, but we're just not listening. And the things that we are there that they want to help, they want to rebalance, because if we are balanced, then we can interact with the natural world in a better way. And one of the things that comes up is around the food we eat, because I feel that if you're eating junk, that's what you are. You are what you eat. So if you're now putting things in that's going to create balance in your life, your interaction with the natural world and your family and friends around you, right, is just going to be a more balanced way of dealing with things. That's why you see so much aggression and all this stuff, is because of the kinds of food that we're eating. And it's proven, totally proven. So the tips I would want for people to leave with is, one, get connected. Get connected to the plants that are outside. Take some time, go to a park, go to the woods, go to the farm, go to wherever you can get into the natural world. Take off those shoes and touch and ground yourself. And ground yourself. Get back in touch with reality. Right? This reality, not the fake stuff that we're watching on all this other stuff, but literally ground yourself. That's one. Another thing I'm suggesting to everybody, doing that and planting something. Take a seed, get a cup, put some soil in it, and get again connected to the plants. To the plants. Start putting something in the ground. You'll see in a couple of months I wasn't lying. That's one. We mentioned about Nadine mentioned about going out into nature and the sun. We have melanin in our skins, most of us, and even the ones that we need the sun. We are people of sun. We need to access that. That's the vitamin D that we talk about. We are in these offices and these other buildings that we're not getting access to the sun. And what the plants do, the green plants, they collect the sun rays and turn it into something that we can actually consume as well. So we need access to the sun. And that's why people in North America and those places, they have to be taking all this vitamin D, and they want to come to the Caribbean because they're deficient and they're depressed because of that. So we need to get back into spend more time. I see people, oh, I don't want the sun to, they don't understand that is what is keeping us going. This is what allows us to be part of that, the divine connection to the creator, is being able to access that sunlight and be able to utilize it and not burn, So that's one. I want everybody to start keeping a food diary. For those of us who are trying to transition, just as much as you're journaling at night, I want 2 things out of that journal. I want people to start to go through the day and write everything you eat. And you do it for a week, and that will help you to start to evaluate what you're doing. Are you eating because you're unhappy? Are you eating? Why are you eating? What are you eating? And starting to look at those things and saying, is this the healthiest thing that I could do for my body and my temple? Because if I'm a divine connection to the creator, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Really, what am I doing? So to start to look at those things and say, did I really need the M&Ms? I'm a person that loves M&M. I tell you from no. So I have to go through that. Like, do I really need to have that high fructose corn syrup? How do I, go through and make sure that that's not in my temple, right? So whatever that thing is, start to journal. I'm also asking people to not, when you're doing that journal with the food, go through and start to write what you're grateful for. I'm actually asking for you to write 20 things that you're grateful for the whole day, because I'm trying to get people to reprogram themselves, right? Because when we're watching the
You
TV,
did, you did mention spirituality, but we didn't really get into
right,
it.
right, because that is, I mean, that is the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really the basis of all this stuff, right? Making that connection, and that connection is all around us. So
Right,
being grateful, I mean, even grateful for the food that you've gotten, right? That's one. But going through that and starting to write what you're grateful for, 20 things, because then that will also, it's all connected. It's not separate. Like the diet is not separate from everything else that's going on in your life. What you eat and the process that you're going through is we want to reconnect you and rebalance you. So the food is just one piece of it and the rest of it. And if you start to do those two things, it will start to help you shift out of that way, because it's more thoughtful. You're becoming more thoughtful about what you're doing and not just rushing around doing something because they've kept us on this treadmill to keep going, 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 that we're not even
right,
being thoughtful about what we're putting in our bodies, right? So that's the thing. And the fifth thing is to join us at the farmers market, because we
right.
provide a great vibe. um, Everybody there really loves what they're doing, and they love the food, and they love to talk to you, and they all that stuff. And it's in Hope Gardens, so
You
we're
you
up
mentioned you
there.
mentioned breadfruit flour. Is that something we can get there?
Well, actually, you can. Let's see who has it. No, Philip is using it right now on making the bread. We literally tomorrow, our farmers in St. Thomas that we work with, we're going to our research land, and we're actually putting in the breadfruit in the solar dryer to dry so we can mill. So in a couple of
Okay.
weeks, you'll be able to get that, get some of the breadfruit flour. So we literally are going there tomorrow to like process, to
Oh,
start to do the process.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, I must say I learned a lot tonight. I'm sure our viewers, my viewers, learned a whole lot as well. Um, Follow me on my journey, and that's an excellent idea about journaling. I am going to start that tomorrow, because we do a lot of things that we are not conscious of. So that is an excellent idea. So follow me on my journey, folks. Let me once again apologize for the late start. As I said, I had a human moment. I fell asleep. I was exhausted today and woke up late. So thank you so much. And you know that rest is a big part of the healthy lifestyle as well. We didn't speak on that, but we know that that is a major part. Sleep. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank Nadene McKay and Nicola Shirley Phillips for speaking to us on becoming vegan, on eating clean, on being very conscious about what we buy, whether it's in the supermarket or we need to go to the farmer's market and go to the market instead, maybe, and ask about where your food is from, where your food come from. It is your right to ask, and we can change things by being demanding about the type of foods that are being offered to us. So tonight we want to say thank you for joining us. Have a good week. Give thanks. Write down 20 things daily what you are grateful for. Gratitude is big for me. You know, that's how I live every day. Everybody knows that who's on my page. And we just want to give thanks to God for everything, right? Remember, COVID's still a keep. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. For those who are interested in the vaccination, remember, check out where you can get your vaccination. For those who aren't, make sure you eat healthy. Keep your body, your temple fit, and do what you have to do. I am not knocking anybody. You have to live the life that you want to live, and we just need to stay healthy, eat right, and just be good to yourself. So tonight, be kind to yourself. I always say one cannot pour from an empty vessel. So once you take care of you, then the rest of the rest of it is gravy, right? So good night. See you next week. Next week we will be talking to Heart Foundation, because it is Diabetes Awareness Month, and I'm hoping at some point in the month We will be speaking to Parenting Commission because it is parenting month as well. And that is a major challenge that we're having in Jamaica. So, Boss Lady Live keeps it real by attacking the challenges that we are having right here in Jamaica. So stay tuned. Next week we are back at 8 p.m. sharp. It won't happen again at 8 p.m. Jamaica time. I believe we're on the same time now, if I'm not mistaken. 8 p.m. Jamaica time. And see you next week. Every Monday, same place, same time. Have a good week, friends. Thank you, ladies. Good night.